coming to you live from the train room tonight for Model Railroad Mondays March edition. It's great to have all of you on. It's another beautiful day in March. I'm glad to see the weather is starting to turn a little bit. We actually have a couple of segments that we're going to do tonight, kind of change things up a little bit. So come on in, let's have some fun, and grab the snack and beverage of your choice, and let's have some fun. I'm actually working from a couple of screens, so I've got the computer in front of me to look at the desktop version, and I also have the cell phone version as well. Rick Spurt Silver, America the Railfare. Hey, how's it going, man? I've already got a couple people on. I'll pull it up here on the desktop where I can see everybody coming on. So I've got a couple of views here where I'm looking at what we're doing for tonight. Hey, Tammy, what's going on? How are you? Hope your back is doing great. Running Company Productions is on. That's Matt Gabriel. What's going on, bro? How you doing? We're going to kick it off with just a few of the general questions here for the first about maybe about 10, 15 minutes. Then we're going to actually do something cool. As you saw in the thumbnail, there's actually some how-tos that we're going to be doing tonight. So we're actually going to be on the bench tonight working on some projects. We're going to do some model railroading questions. And we're also going to be doing another surprise. So you want to stick around for the surprise that I've got later in store. Matt Console's on. That's Trainman 1993. What's going on, brother? Man, it's great to see everybody come up. I got some people coming on. Steve Casey's on. It's Casey and the Sunshine Band. What's going on, man? So, hope everybody's enjoyed their day. And Ready Company Productions, thank you very much for the welcome comment. Hope everybody's doing great. Frank Johnson's on. What's going on, man? How are you? Man, we got some familiar faces up here. This is great. No problems, Tammy. Watch it. If you happen to need to take a break and do whatever, that's fine. I understand. So, but anyway, hope everybody's enjoying the hope everyone's enjoying the event so far. Let me know what you guys are doing with your layouts and stuff. What do you guys have that I might be able to help you with, or maybe other things that I might be able to direct you on. So let me know what you guys are working on your layouts and maybe something that you may be looking into. Trainman 1993, thank you very much. Hang on a second, guys. Steve, I'll get to him in a second, bud. Steve says, I hope Walters does more standard cab 60s like CP, NS, CP, CN, NS, Horsehead, Conrad, Sioux, Red, White, etc. Yes. The standard cabs look really good by Walters. They've actually done a really good standard cab, but so did Athearn. Athearn did a really good rendition of it as well. I know Atlas has done, I know they've done the SD60 in N scale. I'm guessing they did it at HO. If anybody can confirm that, let me know, because I'd like to know about that too. So, yeah. So, let's see here. Renting Company Productions asks, is Athearn Genesis or Atlas done Southern Silver Sides? A Silver Side, are you talking passenger cars, or are you talking more of the line of freight locomotives? Matt Console just asked, do you like to see more Athearn 3-bay hoppers here in HO and N scale? Yes. Athearn has always done a really good job with their rolling stock, and they're built pretty well. Their engines are built like, they're built to last. I mean, I've always liked those. Coal gondolas? If they have, they've been a little far in between. Now I know the rock hoppers have been produced, have been pretty good. And so has, They've done a bunch of the Southern boxcars in the past, and I also know for a fact they've done some. I think they've done a few gondolas in Southern in the past. Hey, it's Nicholas. What's going on, Nick? What's going on, man? CSA Kid Productions. What's going on, man? How are you? Do you have plans on purchasing any scale trains locomotives? I have looked into scale trains, and I have actually corresponded with Steve Casey, Railfan, on that as well. Excuse me, my sinuses have been acting up the last couple of days, so if I sound a little bit congested, I apologize. Steve was telling me that Scale Trains is a pretty good manufacturer. He does HO, and he was actually able to talk about the rivet counter and also the other lines that they have. And I've been really impressed with the detail that Scale Trains puts on their models. I've been looking into it for a while. I'm not sure if I'll go that route just yet. We'll have to think about that. Matt Consul just asked, thoughts on KD couplers on both scales, on N scale and HO? I did not know they did N scale parts. For HO parts, they're pretty good. I have actually learned to like KDs on a few different levels. The Orcar, the Great Northern Orcar that's an HO, I actually rebuilt that and put KD parts on it, and it's done nothing but a good job. I actually learned about KDs and how they're built. They're really cool the way because they're built out of die-cast metal with the actual springs, which look really cool. I've actually repaired that Seaboard Airline caboose with KD trucks as well. So I've been really impressed. Scale Trains, Matt, is both HO and N scale. Steve has some of their products from HO, and I know they've done some in N scale. They've done a lot of N recently. They've done like Santa Fe war bonnets. I think they've done the Spirit units, I think, in N scale. And Steve, if you can confirm this if you want to. But yeah, they've done a bunch of stuff in N scale, and they do pretty work. And see right there, CSA Kid Productions has Rivet Counter C40-9. Those look good. I was really impressed with Scale Trains on that release. So yeah, they're pretty good. Let's see what else we've got. Okay. So let's see here. As Steve says, Scale Trains has done CSX Spirit ET40 ES44 using the Fox Valley tooling. Yeah, I forgot that Fox Valley was acquired by Scale Trains, and that I think the fellow who owned and operated Fox Valley is now working for Scale Trains. So, Matt Consul says, I recently got a Bachmann Rio Grande boxcar in G scale from their big haulers line. I forgot about the big haulers line. I hear those products are pretty good. G scale is big. That's the 1/29th scale. That's one of the big. That's the big scale. One thing that with G scale that a lot of guys forget to mention is that Bachmann does some G scale. LGB primarily does a lot of the G scale stuff, and I've always liked LGB just because of who it is, and they manufacture the different European locomotives, and that's a really unique gauge. Has Athearn done any UP Snute-Nose SD40-2s? I think they've done them in the past. It's just been quite a number of years. I think they also did tunnel motors as well. I think they did them in the Athearn Ready to Roll series. I could be wrong on that. If somebody can confirm that, that would be great. So keep on with the questions, guys. We're going to continue this. It's right at about 7 o'clock. We're going to shift gears a little bit, and we're going to have some fun here on the workbench tonight. And we're going to definitely have some fun. So if you have any last-minute questions here on this segment, ask now, and then we'll be able to do some how-tos here up on the workbench tonight. Thoughts on Ather ready to roll on doing the high hoods again? Steve, that's really good. I'm glad they're going to do another run. Scale Trains has very good freight cars as well. I forgot they did freight cars. I have two of their Operator Series hoppers and a Rivet Counter Air Slide hoppers. Very cool. I forgot they had their Operator Series. Now, Ready Company Productions does ask, which company did the Rio Grande narrow gauge Mikado types? Now, are you talking HO, N scale, or are you talking G scale, Matt? Matt Gabriel. Now, Matt K, Matt Console asked, thoughts on the new paint schemes on the Bachmann GV40 like the Rio Grande? The Rio Grande paint scheme on the G40 looks really good, and the MKT scheme is really good. I was really glad Bachmann came out with that a couple years back, because MKT is not modeled very often, and neither is Delaware and Hudson. And neither is Milwaukee Road. Milwaukee Road cars are very hard to find. The Hiawatha is hit or miss, but the Milwaukee Road freight cars, very hard to find. The Milwaukee Road O-Gauge box car I have, I looked for almost at least 2 or 3 weeks to find one, and I finally was able to settle on one a few years ago. But they're not modeled very often, which I really don't like that. I just wish that, a lot of these railroads were more talked about. Like, the Milwaukee Road was one of my favorite fallen flags of the CP, just because of its cool paint scheme, and they had a whole lot of EMDs. So, yeah, I've always loved Milwaukee Road for that, and their freight cars. For HO, Steve, if you're on, you might be able to confirm this as well, and maybe Matt Console here. I'm not 100% sure. Now, like, Rio Grande is modeled pretty heavily. They're modeled pretty often as well. MKT is not modeled very often, and I'm trying to think of some other ones that are not mentioned very often. Missouri Pacific, they're not mentioned very often. That's the Mopac line. Your thoughts on Ather Blue Box freight car kits? I've had a couple of those, and those were pretty cool kits. And plus the Blue Box series locomotives, that was the thing for Ather before they came out with Ready to Roll. That was the thing up until about the 90s. They were good locomotives, and look at the drives now from Ather, Ready to Roll, and Ather and Genesis. Those drives are basically a Blue Box type drive, but just improved. They have improved from the Blue Box days and made the drives very reliable. And that's why I love Ather Ready to Roll drives and Ather and Genesis drives. They are built to last. Do you like to see some Milwaukee locomotives here in G scale line? It could be any brand. I don't think they've ever been modeled in G scale. I could be wrong, but that would be kind of cool, and I would love to see it in N scale too. So, do you like? Okay, that just came in up there. So, it is now 7 o'clock, and we're going to shift gears and here in just a second. Let me go ahead and get up from my chair here. If I get up, oh. Now we're gonna have some fun on the workbench. We're gonna have some fun. So who's ready to have some fun? Anybody? So I'm gonna shift the camera from the small tripod to the big tripod I normally use, and we're gonna be working some of the bench. So just bear with me here a second, and what I've got to show tonight is quite fun. Bear with me here a second. Okay, here. Okay, so we got some fun coming up. So I'm going to slide the camera. Hold on a second, guys. I'm having a couple little difficulties here. So any last minute questions that you guys may have, you can leave them in the description here in the chat, and I'll be able to look at them from here. So let's see here. Alright. So, now we're getting ready to rock and roll. Okay, guys, I've got the camera flipped. And we're going to actually fix up some rolling stock. These are cars I've collected over time. And there's one thing problem with these three cars right here. What do you think the problems are? Tell me what you think the problem with these cars are. These first three. We're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to have some fun with this, but tell me what the problem is with those cars. Have to take care of something real quick, guys. Bear with me. All right. Going once, going twice. Going once, going twice. Matt Console, you're on the right. You're on the similar line. CSA kids, no. It is actually weight problems. All of these have really messed up weights. For the Milwaukee Road car, this is actually a piece of a weight that I actually made out of something out of the shop. This car actually came with no weight, and I said, well, I've got the right material. Let's go ahead and fix it. So what we're going to do with these three cars, they're all hoppers. They're all covered hoppers. We're going to actually take this, and we're going to do some repairs on the live stream tonight. So I hope everybody's ready to rock and roll with this. We're going to have some fun. So, and Matt, thanks for leaving the fun fact in the chat there. Thank you very much. So we're ready to get started. So I'm going to go ahead and just choose one real quick. We're going to move these aside. We're going to fix old Hercules. It's an Atlas ACF hopper. As you can see, it does have Microtrains trucks on it. I've had this one for a couple of years, and I did not know this, but the weight was actually loose. I didn't know this. So you can see it's really, really tarnished here. I'll put up with my hand so you can see it. We can fix this. We're obviously going to need the car, the weight, a piece of 220 grit sandpaper, some paper towel, some alcohol, and some wood glue. So we're going to have some fun with this, and you feel free to follow along if you'd like. So we're going to first take our weight, and we're just going to sand it. I'll do it with my left hand so y'all can see it on the camera. And this is a square weight. It's not a round weight. So what we're doing is we're just taking the weight, and we're just sanding it. You can see, look at the dull side and look at the bright side. Definitely a huge improvement. And we're going to do this to all four sides. You can see I'm just about there with that side, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to keep working on weights, that weight here. A lot better. Now we'll do it to the next side. And guys, please feel free to ask questions as I do this, because you might be working on this at home, and this might be able to help you finish a project on the workbench. So I'm going to sand the last side, then we'll clean it up with some alcohol. So now we can see my hands are a lot dirty, but this is all the tarnish off of that weight. You can definitely tell a difference in it. Matt just says I use sandpaper to get rid of rust on one of my lineup post-war locomotives like my Santa Fe 2243. Awesome. How old are the cars? I'm guessing they're probably 90s, maybe older than that. I'm not 100% sure. But as you can definitely see, this is a huge improvement of what was there. So, now since we have the dust, on that, now we just take a little bit of alcohol with just a little piece of paper towel and we clean it. So the glue will have a nice, clean, dry surface. And I'm just taking just the least little bit of alcohol and to get it nice and clean. So you can see what it was before, and now you can see what it was after. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? And now we're ready to install the weight. This is where our glue comes into play. A little glue. So what we're going to do is on one side of the weight, we're just going to put some glue on it. And this is just wood glue you can get at your local hardware store. And as you can see, I didn't put a lot on there, just enough to cover one side of the weight and spread it on there. And yes, Matt, very good point. Thank you. I'm glad somebody picked that up. Yes, you never want to use steel wool to clean track or even your wheels because it will cause a short circuit. So, good point. And now the only thing we do is just set the weight right in the car. All right. We just press it down inside. And what I'll do is I'll take a little bit of alcohol just to clean off the excess glue. And there you have it. Just let it tack on there for just a brief few seconds. And now we just put the lid back on, the cover back on. She'll get back on there. Ta-da! She done. So Hercules is fixed. For Matt's question, rust off the metal frames. If you're using, I would use some really fine sandpaper on that. I'd go like maybe 400 grit sandpaper if it's not too bad. 400 grit sandpaper is pretty good for it. Even 2,000 or 3,000 grit sandpaper is perfect for it because you're not taking very much off. Now, for the next car. Good old Milwaukee Road. I recently picked this up. I've been looking for one of these for a while. You can see it's got the Rapido couplers on there, and it's an Atlas. Originally, this car came with no weight. So, and I've actually made the weight just out of something I had in the shop that was actually the right diameter. Hang on a second, guys. We got Trayman1993 who says, hey, guys, including you could always use Tester's glue or super glue to glue the weight in pen. I don't know you use wood glue to glue the weight back in. Yes, I did. The wood glue actually holds a lot better because, first off, it gives a little bit better grip. This brand of glue I've been using in my shop for a long time, and I've actually used it on metal, glass. I've used it on wood. I've used it on plastic, and this stuff is really good. If it's just tiny details, I'll use testers. If it's a weight that's a quickie fix, I need to get done right then and there, I'll use a good amount of testers. But the Titebond will actually do a little bit better job. And now this one here is a round weight, so not going to be needing too much TLC force. We're going to wrap it around, and we're just going to turn it. You just turn it like you just would turn a key to open the door. That's all you would have to do. You can see I'm just turn it with some pressure. See, look at that. And this piece was actually in pretty good shape when I got it out of the shop. I just cut it off with a hacksaw, ground the ends down with a bench grinder, and that was it. Well, there you go. Good and clean. So now we just take a little bit of alcohol here. Get And now what we just do, let's see, hard blade, but then have to perform further maintenance. How would you get it apart from the axles? Well, Matt, that's a really good question. The way these cars come apart, I'm surprised you wouldn't use the threaded screws just in case that happened. Very helpful tips, Pat. Thanks, Steve. You can take a look at the bottom of the cards. You can see they have push pins that actually go up into the hole that's here. So it doesn't go all the way through the car itself. So they make it where you can actually access the weight by just popping the top off or simply popping the frame off. But those pins just go in there. And I like the pins just because you can push them in and pull them right out. And that's what a lot of the cars are going to now. Like with Bachmann cars, see this one here's a Bachmann. It's got push pins. A lot of the times they use screws. And that's very neat. Thanks, Matt. So now what we'll do, time for a little glue. Now since this one is round, I'm going to put just the least little bit on the weight itself, and then I'll drop it right in. Now this one I had to make shorter, and I'll tell you why. Because the round weights that Atlas has are squared on the bottom, where the top can close. This is all the way round, so I had to make an adjustment to where the top can close. So I made it a little bit shorter, and now I just pop it right in and get that glue to tack up. And what you can also do is put a little bit of glue on the top. It won't hurt it. I'll do it from the back where you can possibly see this. Ah, there you go. So there you go. If you get a little bit of glue on your hands, it's okay. It's water-based. You can rub it off with a little bit of alcohol, or you can just wipe it off with a little soap and water. And now you make sure that there's no glue that's going to be on there. And sometimes when you're not sure on something, you can just leave the top open. I'm going to leave the top open for the time being, but this one here, the Hercules, I was able to close that one because I knew that one was okay because I knew that was a factory weight. So I'll put the top on that Milwaukee hopper tomorrow when it dries up. So that's that one. The last and final one is this Redding hopper. The Redding hopper is a Bachmann. It's an ACF. This has a little different design. You can see the weight is a little bit different, and it slips on like this. So, and you can see it hasn't been cleaned up since it left the factory. We can fix that. So, The wheels on there are actually in decent shape. And so are the couplers, which I'm very surprised at. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this thing, take our weight, and we're going to sand it away. You can do this on a block, or you can take it like this. I'll point the camera down a little bit where you can see this. You can sand it like this. Sand half of it, then turn it over. Already looking better. And just note I have brown paper down so everything does not fly all over the place. And Matt, I'll get to your comment here in a few minutes. Lionel American Flyer 3-bay hoppers here at S Stage. Let's roll, buddy. Glad to see American Flyer's name is still around. And Lionel's done a good job of keeping that name alive. Get the edges really good too. So, huge difference. So now we'll go ahead and wipe her down. So now she's ready for some glue. And yeah, guys, keep the questions coming. Keep the questions coming. You're good. I'll go ahead and give our rag a little bit more alcohol. So there you go. All fixed up. Now it's time for some glue. Now the glue is going to be a little different here because we're going to put some on the post. We're just going to put a nice dab. Ooh, I went a little heavy on that. Always clean that up. All right. Hit the better of the two sides. We pop it back in. I'll put a little bit on one of the sides of that way because it didn't get enough in there. So, there you go. That one is glued in. I'm going to also leave